We went to the theater and watched The Batman.
Okay. I have
I
seen the Batman, but I did not see the Batman
this
in
month.
March. So
That's okay.
when we get to, I guess I watched it in April because I know it wasn't the one movie I watched in May. So we can talk about it now, and I guess spoilers.
So I don't want to spoil too much, but I do
Okay.
want to say spoiler alert because I'm sure that something we're going to say is going to spoil
Yeah.
it. So if you don't want to talk about, if you don't want to hear about Batman, then fast forward to the next timestamp that brother has listed below. I came out of the movie, and this is why I'm so excited to talk to you about this, because I walked out of the movie and my very first reaction was, this is my all-time favorite Batman.
Okay.
I have watched it again.
Okay.
This is my all-time favorite Batman.
Okay. Here is my reaction to the Batman. Some standout moments and characters, and I like the basic conceit of Batman's inspiring the wrong kind of people. But otherwise, a 3-hour, mumbling, plotting, aesthetically dull, confusingly shot mess of a film with one of the worst scores I've heard in a long while. So my sister and I are coming at this movie from different directions.
Yes.
So talk to me about the Batman. What worked for you?
So here's what I thought was so interesting. So going into this movie, I was already very concerned. I was concerned because of Robert Pattinson. Okay. Not that I don't think he is a fine actor. I never got around to seeing The Lighthouse. I really, really wanted to see it. I think Robert Pattinson is a fine actor.
Robert Eggers do that movie? Is that one of his?
I don't know. What's his name? Defoe is in it, but I think it sounds like he would have.
Same guy who did Huntsman and the Bitch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's Eggers.
Okay. So
I'll confirm that. You talk.
Okay, so I was concerned a little bit about Robert. No, just because you always think of Batman as being like this, big old presence of
Yes.
I mean,
I was right.
Good for you. And I just don't see Pattinson as doing that. He did great, by the way. Totally down with it. I saw an interview of him, in the most banal interview you'll ever see. It was just one of those yeah, go see the movie because it was really good, blah, blah, blah. Totally forgot he was British. I was like, that's right, you're British because you're Cedric Diggory. That's when you were hot. And then you lost all your hotness when you became a vampire, which normally doesn't work that way, by the way. Normally, vampire increases your sexiness, and it really took a toll on his sexy. Because when he was Cedric and he falls out of the tree, you're like, hey there. And then now you're like, oh, go Sparkle.
Through no fault of Pattinson, that's a fault of just character design.
Again, agreed. So
he says without having seen any of the movies, but I've seen previews. I know what he looks like in the film. So
yes. So going into the
Hasty
Batman,
Glitter Boy.
Going into the Batman, I was also concerned because of the hoopla. Because everything I heard is this is like no other. This is real gritty. This gets down to it gets down
to
the
Nolan, sure.
And I've not, that I can recall at this exact time, I can recall several movies that I've gone in with expectations because they've been hyped, because everyone's been talking about them and saying how important and great they are. And then you go see it and you're like, okay. And then you have to see it a few more times on a different level of okay, my expectations are way too high. So I went in not expecting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I came out thinking exactly what I've already said, but also that they were right. This is, I truly believe, and it sounds so fake to say this is unlike any Batman movie I've seen. This is a different take on Batman. This is much more gritty. This actually goes into him being the world's greatest detective, which let me tell you.
Except he's not.
I live in a household of Batman fanatics. And I read the 5-minute Batman stories to Miles at night to go to bed. And it's always so funny to me.
What is 5-minute Batman stories?
So there are little books of 15 to 20 short Batman stories.
Are
And they're just
they
called the 5-minute.
illustrated, or are they all just you read it out loud to them?
I read out. They're not comic panels. They are like 10-page short stories in an anthology. They're called the 5-minute Batman stories. There's a
Neat.
few of them.
I'll have to
And
see if my library has one of those. I'd be interested in checking that out.
in
That sounds
every
fun.
story, it's always like Batman, the world's greatest detective. And here's the thing about me, and I know it's silly and it's stupid. I've never thought of Batman as a detective, ever. No movie, no
He
nothing.
was rarely portrayed as a detective.
Exactly. Yet in historical written work, like in the actual comics, like when he was the world's greatest detective. And in my favorite short, what is that one that we like? College Humor or whatever, with Batman going, I know the alphabet, and he's like, when he and Bane, it's the funny college humor.
I'm aware of the college humor.
I'm the world's greatest detective, and because he's talking about finding the button to push on a woman. But anyways, the point is this Batman, Robert Pattinson.
Well,
Batman,
I mean, I don't think he'd know, because as we've already found out, Batman doesn't go down on his partners. Are you not familiar with this controversy from like a year ago?
What?
So Harley Quinn season 2 or 3, they were the showrunners wanted to make a joke about Batman eating out Catwoman or something. Okay. And the Warner Brothers pushed back against that, and they're like, no. And they're like, why not? We've got sex and blood and cursing all over the season. Why is that the line? It's like, Batman wouldn't do that. It's like, Batman would not go down on Catwoman? Really? You sure that's where you want to go with this character? This is a guy that has taught himself body discipline and learned every martial arts in the world. You telling me he hasn't learned like tantric sex techniques and stuff? This guy could probably go for 8 hours and has a refractory period of about 5 seconds because he's the goddamn Batman. So the internet had a lot of fun with the idea that Batman does not reciprocate on sexual partners.
But brother,
anyway,
he can't hold down a girlfriend. So
it's like, why do you think that his mask stops here? He's got this part open for a reason.
Yeah, he's ready.
He's ready to go.
Afternoon delight, baby. That's why he can't hold down a girlfriend. If you're not going to reciprocate,
maybe he's just
expect it one way.
Maybe he's the world's greatest detective. He knows a bunch of martial arts, but there's just a couple of things he just couldn't quite catch the knack
just
for.
A line.
That's one of them.
There's just a line. Anyway, so I did find. Here's what I liked about the movie. I liked Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne in this movie is different than any Bruce Wayne, and I get this Bruce Wayne. Now, did I have problems from time to time with how he treated Andy Serkis, because I am such a big Andy Serkis fan, but I'm also like anti little petulant children? Yes. So he does become a little petulant from time to time with the whole "you're not my father" thing, and I'm just like, ugh. But I liked the fact that in this movie, and I don't think that this spoils anything, but we've already told you to fast forward, he is a recluse. And everything is made by hand. And I love the close-ups of his armor. And I love how it shows that he's using like a little contact that has cameras in it so he can remember what he's going over. Because to me, I've always you suspend a lot of disbelief with Batman, because you think to yourself, my favorite, come at me, but Ben Affleck's my boy. So Ben Affleck and Christian Bale, even Keaton, they were all playboy billionaires who are completely in the spotlight. Everyone knows who they are. Their face is everywhere, and then also is Batman. And I'm just like, this guy, he comes out like Robert Pattinson's Batman goes to a funeral, and it is very well known. They're like, oh, hey, we thought oh my God, Bruce Wayne is here. Bruce Wayne is never anywhere. Bruce Wayne doesn't ever do anything. And to me, I'm like, well, that makes more sense. Now the fact that Bruce Wayne and Batman have never been in a, room together.
Because Bruce Wayne's never in any room ever.
Because Bruce Wayne's never anywhere. Whereas like Bruce Wayne is everywhere in other movies and whatnot. So it's almost like all this, they're like, Bruce, where are you? Oh, well, thank God Batman's here, because apparently Bruce tucked his tail between his legs. So for me, that really works. That kind of DIY, you did it yourself. It's, kind of outside the city. I really liked that. I liked that character of it. I liked the fact that he was new to everything, and that it really was like there wasn't a whole bunch of there was fight scenes. There were, like, I liked the gun one where all you see is the light from the machine guns going off and he's like,
oh yeah,
kicking butt. So, but it was more of a thought-provoking, like, why does this guy want this? And why does the Riddler want this? And who is the Riddler? And I already have a fear of Paul Dano's presence. So him being the Riddler I was like, yep, you are a scary, and he's a scary guy. I believe in acting, and yet I just don't think he should ever play a male like romantic lead, because I would be like, nope, I'm out. He's gonna murder you in your sleep. No offense, Paul Dano, you're a fantastic actor. I've seen There Will Be Blood. You are a scary. Not that he watches our show unless he does.
Hey, Paul.
I know. But
you're on the list too.
Yeah. Hey.
No, please don't.
Please.
You scare me.
You.
I admire you
from a distance. Exactly. I think that you're fantastic over there, friend. So for me, it made sense where it was coming from. I also, John Turturro can do no wrong. Love him.
Agreed.
So I was really excited to see him. And I also, Jeffrey Wright, could listen to him read a phone book. So love that.
And they cast him as the voice of the Watcher in the Marvel What If animated anthology. Good choice.
Oh, but yes. So for me, I just watched it and I was constantly I was like, this is just really good. And it makes sense and everything fits. And Zoe Kravitz is fine. I will give her fine. She's cute. She needs a sandwich. But like, it just, there are some moments I look at her and I'm uncomfortable with how tiny she is. And I'm like, oh God, you're gonna break your leg trying to kick someone else. Like, she gets in a fight and I'm like, that would snap your knee, which I know that that's not how the body works. I'm just saying. So what, like, the music, I can understand a little bit about what you're saying because I can hear it in my head, and they use a lot of more like actual songs than score a lot. Like, so were you
I'm talking about the score.
You are talking about the score. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. It didn't take me out of anything. Some of the music choices themselves, I was like, that's interesting. But no, I thought I agree. And so there are things I will say, and I'm trying to dance around things because it is semi-new and I want people to be able to watch it. But I understand some of the qualms of when, and this is in preview, so I'm not giving anything away, but there is a moment at the beginning of the film actually when, and then later again, but when Batman is coming up a empty stairwell, I guess, to the white-faced hooligans, the ones that are all painted with half.
Or the beginning of the movie?
Beginning of the movie.
Okay, opening.
And you can hear him approaching, and there's, because his body armor is so heavy.
The
so
sound design
DIY.
was a bit overdone in places to me. I
And
mean, his
that's part
footsteps
of
are boom, boom. It's like a damn T-Rex is coming.
And that's the thing. I thought it was funny. I got what they were going for. It was a little too heavy-handed. So there are things that I can understand being like, because at the same time, if that's the noise your armor makes, you're not going to be as agile in it as you then become. But I loved the setup of that scene. Pattinson is doing a voiceover about, just seeing the beacon in the sky of the bat signal brings fear into people's, they realize it's a warning that I'm coming, but you don't know where I'm coming because I can only be in one place at a time. And it shows different hooligans.
No, I can hear your footsteps pretty clearly from a mile away. So,
but it shows.
But before that point, yeah.
That the guy is like spray painting and then he drops it and it rolls
down to a dark alley or something. It's like, I go. Yeah, that was really wonderfully staged shot. I thought it's great. Yeah.
Oh, well done. I was like, you go. And I also thought in a horrible way, that the actual ending of the movie when so the Riddler has followers.
Mm-hmm.
And he has, and like if you
he's a YouTube troll. He's an angry, misogynist, racist YouTube troll. That's wonderful.
And if you read this, like it's, and I'm like,
it's perfect.
It's perfect and terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, that makes so, like, it just, everything about the movie, even the parts that I was like, okay, dude, because there's also a scene. Can we talk about the scene in which freaking Selena Kyle drinks a glass of milk in front of him and is all like seductively being like, I can take care of myself, and leaves.
And she leaves the fridge open. You're complaining about you can't pay rent. Why are you not closing the goddamn fridge?
The entire time the fridge is open in the background, and I'm like,
to be throughout the scene.
And at first I'm like, oh, she didn't, because she gets the glass of milk. And then she turns around and starts drinking it.
It's not a continuity thing either. That was blocked that way. That fridge is staying open the entire every shot. I'm like, that's not why I didn't like the movie.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad
that is not why I didn't like the movie. But that stuck out to me like a sore thumb too. I'm like, close the fridge. I mean, the main conceit of Selena Kyle's, it is Selena Kyle, right?
It is, because her mother is Maria
right.
Kyle.
So of Selena's is she's broke. That's a major plot point. I'm like, well, close the fridge maybe.
Yeah. Here's what the one thing I did not like about it. I do believe that there was some queer baiting going on, which I never respect, because if you want to be queer, just be queer, god damn it. Because Selena calls her roommate baby all the time on the phone.
Yeah, there's an implication that they were more than roommates.
There was an implication that they're more than roommates, except then a little bit later she calls her, she's just a kid, she doesn't know. And I'm like, okay, first off, we've seen photos, you're the same age, and you're both quite young. Now that I'm the age that I am, I look at kids in their 20s.
The 20s as kids, yeah.
You're a kid. But Selena, you're a kid too. So when she called her kid, that was weird. But she was calling her baby and all this. And I'm just like, just
not the worst I've ever seen, but yeah, it comes off as we want to, these two are lovers. We don't want to say that though. So because we don't want to make bigots uncomfortable.
That's the thing, is I
do.
It's okay that these two girls are bi or pan or open, or it doesn't, I don't really care who they're sleeping with. But when
Catwoman, I believe, is canonically bi, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. I haven't read any of her books, but I believe she's bi.
Well, good. That makes perfect sense. And in knowing that makes this a lot better, until she calls her a kid. Because when she calls her a kid, she's been calling her baby, and she's been, talking about how scared she is for her and all of this. And then she calls her a kid. And to me, that with that one sentence is that I'm a writer, I'm the producer, I'm the director, I'm too scared to this, it cuts it down. Because there's not a day in hell, granted Jeremy's older than me, but there's not a moment in hell that I would ever call anyone that I was in a relationship or sexually attracted to, or like had a relationship deeper than just a platonic friendship, as like, oh God, they're just a kid. They're just a kid is a platonic friendship thing.
Yeah, I would say a good rule of thumb is do not refer to anyone you're intimate with as a kid.
Exactly.
I think that's advice we could all live by.
Yes. And if they fit the mold that they are, then they shouldn't be a sexual partner anyway. But so for me, like that took me in a place like, oh, you cowards. And that, of course, turns me off when there's queer baiting going on that is not fulfilled. So that upset me a bit. There's also the point that sometimes, and again, I'm not a detective. I've never worked a case other than my hunter killer. So I've never actually worked a case. So I don't know, but and again, we only have so much movie, but it does seem like
a lot of movies, 3 hours.
When I said that Batman's the world's greatest detective, and you kind of made it is true. Other people solve it for him, and then he's like, oh, I'm gonna use that idea because now, but I don't know how to detect, like maybe you are just in a bar shooting it back and someone says, because every show that has ever existed, whether it be like Hugh Laurie in House, I mean, he goes through 800 different diagnoses and all of a sudden he's like, oh, it's this. And it's because or Grey's Anatomy, all of those shows, they're always like, someone tells you exactly what you need to hear at the exact moment. And it just poop, 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 all the pistons in your brains.
A lot of the people in the movie, the ones who would know what they're talking about, like the actual on-scene crime scene investigators, tell you, the audience, that Batman is not good at this. It's like, maybe not, track bullshit all over our crime scene.
Oh yeah,
hey, like, ever heard of the chain of custody, Batman? Yeah,
it's true. He does, and then he goes, "I'm wearing gloves" or whatever. Yeah,
but you're not wearing booties on your boots, buddy.
Yeah.
Also, chain of custody, big thing. You can't just pick stuff up and walk around with it and leaf through it. That's not how any of this works, especially if people are still bagging and tagging and taking pictures and stuff. Right. Maybe if you want to bring him in as an outsider, I mean,
an outside consultant
after everyone's done with the scene to come in and see if we missed anything. Okay,
I would agree.
Generally, that's how Batman works. Is he breaks into crime scenes later and to find what's been missed. That's generally how that's portrayed. So, all right, here are some of the reasons I didn't like the movie. And again, there's a lot I liked about the movie. I like the general idea of the movie, that this is Batman's second year. He's still finding his footings, or his bat wings, I guess. He's not the world's greatest detective. He's still working on that. He's got a lot to learn. And a lot of the movie makes it clear that he's not good at this yet.
But he's becoming it. That's the thing.
I like the idea of that. And I like the idea that he's starting out the wrong way with the whole Batman's inspiring the wrong kind of people.
Yeah.
And that's explicitly the point of the movie. And I really like that.
And for me, I just liked the idea of him being, like I said, like that he didn't ever find out anything on his own. Everything was kind of like, oh, but I like the idea.
Pretty much.
There's not a single Batman movie. And again, I haven't rewatched the original.
But I mean, he fails. Everyone dies. Everyone the Riddler targets dies. He doesn't save anybody.
No.
Except for the very end of the movie. Well, actually, he doesn't even save anyone at the end of the movie. The mayor, whoever the woman, is she running for mayor or something like that?
I think it is. Although
he doesn't save her. She just survives.
Can we talk about the funniest line in the entire movie?
And he does like move a piece of scaffolding that did not seem to be in the way of any of the people hiding behind it. Now that's just poor blocking. I'll excuse that, but it's this weird thing where all these people are huddled behind this weird scaffolding. He's like, "I'm gonna help," and I'm like, that didn't really seem to be trapping anybody.
So for me though, hold on, before I let you go
Yeah.
off, and I agree he's not good, but I love that because I think that he's becoming the Batman that he's supposed to be, that I
Yes.
don't think has ever been represented, because
Yes.
I've never believed that Batman was a detective in my entire life.
He's not always portrayed as such, but
He's
yes.
never portrayed. He's always just kind of a cocky ass. Anyways, so I like where they're going. Here's the funniest line of the entire movie:
Okay.
is when the mayor meets Bruce Wayne.
Who?
Or the woman
The woman running for mayor, right? The mayor. Right.
The woman running for mayor
Mhm.
meets Bruce Wayne at the funeral.
Yes.
And she says, you know, your family used to donate a whole lot to our city. And ever since they died, there's been no, you know, Wayne contributions to anything. Once I become mayor, I look to change that. And I was like, so what you're telling me,
you're gonna tax his rich ass?
if you become mayor, you're going to make a billionaire donate to charity. But if you don't become mayor, you're not going to try to get, like, you can't make me donate my wealth. It's my wealth. But she basically was like, when I become mayor, I'm going to hope to change all that. And I'm like, you're literally talking about this man's money. He's allowed to do with it whatever he wants. His parents, again,
tax him though.
And
I have no idea how much control a mayor of a town has over local tax law, but
like asinine.
now, I actually don't remember the specifics of the conversation, but my takeaway was your parents were philanthropic. Why aren't you?
Yeah.
I don't recall her saying like, well, when I'm mayor, you're going to be philanthropic. I don't recall that, but I do recall the actual conversation. What I do remember, however, is I don't like Batman or Bruce Wayne. I found him just a boring creep. Here's Batman or Bruce Wayne at the funeral. Dude, stop it. Stop creepy staring at small children and other people, you weirdo. Stop it.
He's
just
creepy.
Weirdly antisocial.
No social.
None.
None.
Master Wayne, you should go out in public. Have you seen me? Have you met me? No, I shouldn't go out in public. I'm terrible at public.
Have you seen this haircut? I mean, it ain't good.
There are so many scenes of him just staring at people as both Bruce Wayne and Batman, and it's weird. I like the fact that he's not a great Batman yet, and I like the fact that the movie acknowledges that. I don't think the movie understands just how bad at this he really is.
I love when he uses the squirrel suit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, squirrel. He's like, I've never had to use my squirrel suit. I don't know how to land.
I love the fact that he climbs up to the top of the building before he squirrel glides off. He's like, oh shit, that is high. I love that.
Yeah.
And that never comes up again.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, what a wonderful character thing. He's a little iffy about extreme heights. Let's see where that goes. Nowhere. That never comes up again. Even where at the end of the movie where he's up at the scaffolding of the what a weird. Now this is not a huge problem with the movie, but it's just a production design thing that I don't understand.
Yeah.
Apparently the sports arena is built into the ground.
Yeah.
And Gotham is flooding, so they evacuate everybody into a hole in the ground. Why would you do that?
Agreed. That is
absolutely the last place you should evacuate anyone into in a flood.
And I'm trying to think of our arenas here.
Make for the low ground in a flood. What?
I'm trying to think, like, so our baseball, like, so Busch Stadium is, but we do have the Enterprise Center, and I wonder if, I think it's only like a story down. So it might be most stadiums. I really do think that a lot of stadiums do go down, which also, again, makes it a terrible
to a point. Sure.
Yes.
That certainly all the basement and stuff is under the ground, but this one is literally The front
go in, the
doors
front
are
door,
the top
and
of
then
the
you go-
arena.
Yeah.
Like you
so
enter the
that's-
front doors off of the street and you have to walk all the way down
Yeah.
to the floor of the arena. The whole thing, it is a hole in the ground, and that
Yeah.
is a weird.
And that's
You didn't
dumb as crap. Yeah.
just pick that up out of the. Well, then you wouldn't have the flood, but think of something else.
And then, so that's another thing about the flood, like what kind of island is surrounded by
Built lower than sea level.
7 dams? Because it's 7, right? I think it's like
it's multiple.
it's 6 or like because
There
like,
are
I have
multiple
this many
levees
cars.
or some sort that are keeping the water out.
Yes, so I'm like, how does this island create?
Has
Like,
the island been sinking?
I'm like, are we underground? Like, I understand if a levee breaks, bad, like, if Hoover Dam went, that's gonna screw up a few things, but it's not going to, like, there's not enough water, like, for the water.
I don't think there's any actual towns directly on the other side of Hoover Dam, but point taken, yeah.
Right. But that's the thing. First off, you're never going to have a big community like this if there are literally 7 dams within, like, because if you think of Manhattan, it's only 100 square miles, basically,
I get the sense that Gotham's about the same size. Yeah.
Right. But like, they would never have a thriving metropolis, or Gotham, pardon me, sorry, but they would never have a thriving, Gotham that is surrounded by that much, like, imminent danger. So
Yeah,
for me,
Manhattan is not below sea level.
No, it's not. No. You could create some pretty terrible tidal wavy something or other, and
rising sea levels is certainly a concern. Tsunamis are certainly a concern. But
Inwood would be gone. But other than that, you wouldn't. So that whole thing, I'm like,
yeah, it was kind of weird. The geography of Gotham was really weird. So Batman's he's not a good person. He's barely a character. I found Batman himself very boring. I understand why he is the way he is. I understand why he's a socially awkward recluse. And I think that's a perfectly valid choice for the character. I like that he's genuinely bad at this because it gives him somewhere to go. Exactly. I found it really fun. Like, I mean, I caught the Spanish 101 mistake immediately. I was listening. I'm like, the El Rata. I'm like, La Rata, right? Because it's a feminized article, right? I was thinking, am I remembering this right? And it becomes a whole plot point. I'm like, I see what they're doing there. That's kind of funny because he doesn't speak. I live in Southern California. I live 20 miles from Mexico. So for me, that is obvious,
right?
But for rich Mr. Wayne, who doesn't even know what a tool for laying carpet is, and again, if you have never laid carpet, you would not know what that thing is.
Okay, because
I've laid carpet because our water heater exploded, so I know exactly what that thing is. I'm like, I didn't remember what it was called. It's like a carpet tucker or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I know what it's called, but I know exactly what it is. And when I saw it in the first, I was like,
I'm like, oh, that's the carpet thing. That's an interesting murder weapon.
Holy shit, I know what that thing can do. And that can scalp a man. Or like when
it's not sharp or anything, but you could do some, it's heavy. You could do some damage if you hit someone.
No, it's not sharp, but you can chisel away at some stuff. Anyway, I thought it was.
They hold still, sure.
I
love the fact that he's rich and out of touch.
Funny that he didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
I never thought that someone wouldn't know what it was, but you're right.
Well, if you've never personally laid a carpet, you wouldn't know what that is because that's the only thing that tool's used for. But
it is not a multi-purpose tool.
Right, as far as other than the fixing it to handle bashing someone in the head, I suppose. But yeah, that is a specific tool, and if you've never personally laid a carpet, I would understand. But that's the point: is Batman's a rich, privileged dude who's never laid his own carpet, so he wouldn't know what that is. I actually like stuff like that.
So it's not canon that Martha is an Arkham, right? That's fake.
Oh, that's as far as I know, that's made up for this movie.
Okay, continue.
And we'll get there because that's a big problem I have with the movie. But so my overriding problem is Batman himself is boring. He's not an because on purpose. I mean, he's an antisocial, awkward, weird dweeb who is completely insulated from everything. He doesn't know Spanish. He doesn't know what carpentry tools or
he doesn't know Spanish.
He doesn't know basic 101 Spanish.
No, I knew what you're getting at.
I mean, that would be like someone saying hola, and you'd be like, I'm sorry, I don't understand Spanish. It's like, dude, it's just hello. How do you adios? It's like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. Come on, you have to know hello and goodbye, right?
Right.
I mean, seriously, ¿Dónde está el baño?
Yeah,
everyone should know that one, because that's the if you learn nothing else in Spanish, ¿Dónde está el baño? That's the one you want to know. Followed closely by No hablo español. Then there's the other one. Those two, and you're good. All right. So I like what they're doing with Batman, yes, but that makes him a boring character and not particularly likable. This is Catwoman's movie. This should be Selina should be the protagonist. She should be the point of view character for this movie. It's her story.
It is.
She's the inciting incident revolves around her. She's driving the forward momentum of the plot. This should be her story as a point. Batman, I'm not saying Batman shouldn't be there. He should. Right. But it should be her point of view, not his, because he's boring. And this should be a lot of her going like her making a better Batman. And I do like that Batman, to an extent, kind of realizes that he's bad at this and needs to work. Yeah. I think they could have done more with that.
Yeah.
And I like that Catwoman does call him out occasionally. I have no idea why she kisses him in the face. I don't know what attraction she had. That comes out of nowhere, and I don't.
Because I do love when she calls him Vengeance. She's like, "Hey, Vengeance, you got," and he realizes maybe that's not my name because he calls him Vengeance.
Yeah, he's like, "Who are you?" I'm Vengeance. I thought you were Batman. Yeah.
But she only calls him Vengeance, and I love that. And then she realizes at the end that that's not who he is.
It's like, oh, that's okay.
And then he realizes that's not who he is either. So,
is it Colin Farrell who's playing the Penguin?
Yes.
Oh my God, I love him so much. And I liked a lot about this movie. I loved Colin Farrell's The Penguin. What a wonderful, goofy performance. I absolutely adored every moment he's like, La rata, moron.
Yeah.
How do you oh my God, that's 101 Spanish. Two detectives and neither of you know that? How embarrassing.
He's great.
There's some of the filmmaking didn't work for me. Like that scene specifically, like they have him and then it cuts to them fussing around on the computer doing La Rata instead of El Rata. And I thought they had cut to somewhere else, but then it pulls back after like a couple of minutes after they figure stuff out. It pulls back and no, the Penguin is still tied up to the wall. Right? They just like opened up a laptop on a table or on the hood of a car next to him. I'm like, oh, we didn't go anywhere.
No.
Oh, that and there's a lot of stuff in this movie where scene transitions are not clear, where anyone went, where anyone is, how much time has passed. That's a consistent problem throughout the film. Specifically, what I don't like about the score is it's as overdone as his goddamn footsteps.
Sure.
The Batman theme is boom, 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 boom. I'm like, that's the Imperial March, you asshole.
Yes. Thank you. In my head,
you caught it. It's the Imperial. It's bum, 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 only really slow.
I was listening the whole time. So I remember, thank you. I totally forgot about that. But yes, because I'm listening to it. I'm like, am I the only one hearing the Imperial March right now? Because I'm like, it is the exact. And I kept in my head, I'm thinking, I want to look into copyright because I want to know how many notes in a row that has to be, because you know that there's a
It's not
finite
exactly
number
the
of
same, but it is very, very similar.
It's not exactly the same, but it is.
Yeah, I didn't
the same.
transcribe it either, but I was like, oh, that's really, really close to being.
But I was like, okay, so that the notes are longer. They're using more half note, or half notes than quarter notes. And so I'm like, and I was like, okay, they're long. So maybe like, but I really want to know copyright just to know when are you sampling and when are you, but yes, it's the Imperial March.
Yeah, and it's way overdone and bombastic, and I didn't like the score. So I found Selena's character and arc and story more compelling than Batman's, because Batman, on purpose, as I said, is a boring antisocial dipstick who is not very good at Batmaning yet. So I really think this movie would have been better served by having her being the point of, again, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying take Batman out of the movie. He should absolutely be there in the same capacity he is now, but he shouldn't be the point of view character, much like, I hate to use the example because of the actor right now, but Jack Sparrow should not be the point of view character of Pirates of the Caribbean. It's a great character. He should be there, but he shouldn't be the lead, which is why the later films suck, because he's not a lead protagonist. That character, that's a supporting character. Batman should.
Why the first Pirates is like,
yes,
I don't want to say perfect, but it's damn near perfect.
Yes. Yeah, Jack Sparrow is not the point of view protagonist character of the original Pirates of the Caribbean. It's Will and
Elizabeth.
Grace. Elizabeth, there you go. Will and Grace? I don't know.
Miss Bennett, Elizabeth Bennett, isn't it? Or is that Wuthering Heights?
I don't know. So let's see. We talked about the. Oh, okay. So the parents thing. Okay, so this is getting into some more hefty spoilers here, but how are we doing on time? Okay,
I was just looking at it like this might be our
finish
final.
up this point.
I knew once we got to Batman, it was going to be a while.
So it comes out via the Riddler that what Batman has to reconcile with is his father may not be the man that he thought he was. Now, the Riddler's accusation, if I'm remembering this right, and it's been 2 months since I watched the movie, so I might get some details, so I'll try to get this right. Thomas Wayne, his wife was in a mental institution for mental health issues of some sort, which I don't think are ever described, or had a history of mental illness, which at least one point had her committed. Thomas is running for mayor, and he finds that factoid embarrassing or problematic to his political aspirations. So what the Riddler says he did is the Riddler's father was a journalist who found this stuff out and was going to publish it. So Thomas went to a mobster and said, I just want you to make sure this guy doesn't print anything embarrassing about my family. And then the mobster killed the guy.
Don Totoro, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, I didn't want you to do that. No, it's like, well, I did that for you, and now you're in my pocket. So your father, actually, it's like, I think what the accusation is he hired a mobster to go kill this guy to do something, right? Okay. So he confronts Alfred with this, who's in 3 scenes of the movie, I think. Alfred, they really needed to do more with that character, because I think he's like in 3 scenes, 2 of them one of them in the hospital. And I guess
not in a lot of scenes. He needs to be in more.
Yeah.
And their relationship
that was not resolved at all. I don't think we ever cut back to him. I assume he's okay.
He's fine,
I guess.
I think.
Movie never goes back to him, I don't think. But anyway.
Oh my gosh, I don't think it does.
No, because Bruce confronts Alfred on his hospital bed, and he says, no, your father Your father just wanted the mobster to talk to him, and he was horrified when he found out that that happened. So he tried to get out from under, or something like that. And I think that's the last scene with Alfred. I don't think we ever go back to him.
I believe that you're right on that, but
Okay, so Batman's
anyway,
like,
yeah, I'm like,
no, my father wasn't a bad person. He never meant for anyone to die. He just made a bad decision, and he got sucked down into the depths of the heart of darkness of men, and blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. There is no way in hell that Thomas Wayne didn't know exactly what he was doing. Bullshit. Your father is either the dumbest asshole on the face of the earth, or he knew exactly what he was doing. First of all, well, he didn't do it for his political career. He did it to protect his family.
Yeah.
Bullshit. He's protecting his family to further his political career. First of all, if Thomas was a good person, he shouldn't be embarrassed of any mental health issues that his wife was suffering, because there is a stigma regarding mental health issues. But here is an excellent place to start chipping away at the damn thing. But instead, he went to a mobster and says, hey, just, here's some money. Take care of this. What do you think he's going to do?
Make him realize it's okay.
Just reason with him. Yeah. And he kills him, and it's like, oh no, now I'm under the the thumb of a mobster. And then he gets knocked off by a competing mobster because the other mobster didn't want a guy in government who is owned by the competition.
Exactly. So this
is not believable at all. This is the dumbest damn thing, and it does not work. Either Thomas Wayne is the dumbest asshole alive, or Batman's still a moron and his father is genuinely a shitty person who hired a mobster to kill a guy who is going to expose something that genuinely didn't matter.
I will say the first time, so when I saw this in the theater with Jeremy, I did lean over and I'm like, I'm very, like, when that part came out and they have like the narration, and I was like, I am very confused. Am I understanding this right? Like, and then the whole like making her an Arkham fully freaked me out. That made no sense to me. I'm like, why? Why did she have to be? I'm like, is that canon? And Jeremy's like, no.
Did she murder people? It doesn't seem like they're going there. It looks like she just had some anxiety or something.
Arkham is an insane asylum, and she's in Arkham.
Well, it's for the criminally insane usually. So.
Like, it's just so dumb. It's like the most unnecessary thing. Yeah,
it don't work.
Angle, but like that part really did get me.
Yeah. I do like the idea of how they're showing Batman and Riddler to be two sides of the same coin. They both do the narration. They both do these weird books. I think the movie could have done a little bit more, because the narration and the book writing is like at the beginning of the movie and the very end of the movie.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's kind of dropped. I think just a little more there. I still get it, but I don't think it was presented as well as it could have been to really tie that together and make Batman realize, oh crap, I'm bad at this. I'm inspiring all the wrong people. I need to make some changes. And one of the issues I have is it's not clear that Batman knows what issues. I mean, it's like, maybe I should learn Spanish. No, he's like, I'm gonna keep trying, I guess. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm not clear that the movie or Batman knows what it is that Batman's failing at. I think the movie's clear that Batman's not great at his job yet.
Yeah.
But I'm not convinced that the movie knows why. And that's disappointing, because it's very clear what his problems are. Anyway, to sum up,
I loved it, and I understand your point of view. And I just want to say that I find it very interesting that of all of the actors who are the most off-putting and weird, like, I can't handle you actors, they got Paul Dano to be the Riddler, and they one-upped themselves with the Joker, because that little guy is even more scary. I've seen Killing of a Sacred Deer, and I'm just what? Keenan, something
Man, Drew
Kerrigan.
sucks.
God, that is now that
Barry
actor.
something.
Yeah, Barry.
Yeah.
But either way, you know, he makes Paul Dano look like a puppy. So him being the Joker was like, well, if you're gonna one up yourself,
yeah,
you did it.
I also like, you know, the mercenaries at the end of the movie. He punches the shit out of one. He's like, "Who are you?" "I'm vengeance." It's like, oh shit, man.
Yes. That's
yes. Don't I feel like an asshole? This is all my fault.
This is all my fault because the Riddler thought that we were buddies.
And there's the thing where he's actually tangibly helping remove people from the rubble. It's a good idea. You know, Batman's actually doing a thing that's actually helpful. I think that's a good idea. Unfortunately, it kind of comes across that Batman's like, I carried that one person and put them over there. I done good, going home now. It's like, you do realize, did you just do the one thing and then you pieced out? I don't think it was presented as well as it could have been. So I think that I like the basic conceit of the movie. I don't think it was executed well. There's a lot of things in this movie that drove me nuts, but would I watch a direct sequel? Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Weirdly structured movie though. I mean, I would say this is like a 17-act film. This could have easily been like a television series, like a 10-episode miniseries or something, because it has that kind of episodic structure.
You're right.
You know,
you're right. This could have been like one of those, 10 1-hour episodes, or maybe 8. But, yeah.
So there you go, two very different perspectives on the Batman. And so we're done for today, but we've got more movies to discuss. So we will be back. Our sexy selves, it's on a list. We'll be back at you another time with the more monthly movie mini review. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.